the rules in the dressing room, okay? I expect a tough, clean fight. Both of your trunks are perfect. Touch them up. Good luck. God bless.
The Road Warrior moniker that Glenn Johnson sports, apropos once again tonight as he takes on Pawtucket's JAIME VELASQUEZ here in Lincoln, Rhode Island. But it is JAIME VELASQUEZ, who has not fought since 1999, who is the underdog. This one scheduled for 8 rounds, both fighters competing at a catch weight of 180 pounds, technically in the cruiserweight division, but they identify as light heavyweights. Peter Zimbor and Gary Tiger Boletto calling the action ringside here at the Twin River Casino. It's Glenn Johnson, the former world champion, in the white trunks, VELASQUEZ in the black trunks. Gary, you made your pro debut in 1996. VELASQUEZ made his pro debut in 1995. What do you remember about VELASQUEZ in terms of his fighting style when he was an active fighter from 95 to 99?
VELASQUEZ, like I was saying earlier, physically strong, one of the strongest guys around. I felt like he was always lacking experience. I don't think he had many amateur fights either. So, you know, to get into this level of competition, you could be the bigger, stronger, but when you don't have that experience, it really makes a huge difference. Glenn Johnson's, you know, been with everybody in the top 10 in the world, and in his time, and a win over Roy Jones, I mean, that alone is incredible. Even at 45 years of age, he's going to be a tough guy to beat.
Yeah, Glenn Johnson, 45 years old, a decade removed from his Fighter of the Year campaign in 2004, where he knocked out Roy Jones and defeated Antonio Tarver. Fell on some hard times and had a stretch of losses and retired from boxing. However, like many retirements in boxing, it did not last particularly long. He's currently riding a winning streak. He defeated Junior Ramos, a journeyman in the Dominican Republic last year, as well as former 2-time cruiserweight title challenger Bobby Gunn in December in Pennsylvania. He's looking to make it 3 in a row against JAIME VELASQUEZ of Rhode Island tonight in Rhode Island. One thing that JAIME VELASQUEZ probably has going for him against Glenn Johnson is that Glenn Johnson's always been a fighter that takes his time. Despite the highlight reel knockout win over Roy Jones in 2004, big knockouts for him have been few and far between. He's not an explosive one-shot knockout puncher. He wins his fights in a workman-like fashion, and as a result of that, he's not exactly being overly aggressive and really going after VELASQUEZ, who has not fought yet in this millennium.
I didn't expect him to be, and you know, VELASQUEZ, he's using a lot more energy in the beginning of rounds, and you know, Glenn, I know, is going to take his time. Experience, you know, nothing beats experience. But as I said before, I wish JAIME VELASQUEZ the best. I'd love to see him pull off a win over this Glenn Johnson.
Round 1 concludes between Glenn Johnson and JAIME VELASQUEZ here at the Twin River Casino in Lincoln, Rhode Island. Glenn Johnson with Mark Vaz and Mark Porter in his corner. Mark Porter from South Boston. Mark Vaz from nearby Quincy, Massachusetts. He has been the lead man in Glenn Johnson's corner for most of his recent fights, and has been a longtime cut man for Glenn Johnson, dating back to many of Glenn Johnson's world title bouts.
But 2 jabs and step in with him, that'll give you your right hand, okay? 1 year a little short, 2 is going to give it to you. All right, feel good? Excellent. Get his timing a little bit.
Sweetheart, Miller Lite has been brewing America's favorite light beer since 1970.
This bout, despite being the main event, Gary, a late addition to the card. The original main event scheduled for tonight was to feature former welterweight and junior middleweight world champion Ricardo Mayorga. However, when Ricardo Mayorga's former or perhaps current promoter Don King, depending on how that verdict falls, intervened, the fight was scratched, and to keep name recognition, world-class fighters on the card, Jimmy Birchfield's Classic Entertainment Sports added the former light heavyweight world champion Glenn Johnson.
Well, he seemed to pull off a great card again. We got a full house, and you know, Glenn Johnson's a big name in boxing. And I think he was lucky to get him to fight with this short notice.
Well, as we are approaching the 1 minute mark of round number 2, JAIME VELASQUEZ, for a guy who has not fought this millennium, does not appear to be a guy who has been out of the gym for too long. He has an impressive athletic-looking physique, and he does not look out of place in the boxing ring right now against the guy the caliber of Glenn Johnson, even if it was Glenn Johnson who you would give round 1 to.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm very impressed with JAIME, what he's doing right now.
He's eating some jabs courtesy of Glenn Johnson here in round 2, however. Glenn Johnson has found that mark with the left hand now, jabs to the body. And now perhaps Glenn Johnson finding his rhythm a little bit. Nice right hand by JAIME VELASQUEZ. However, Glenn Johnson looks at the referee as if to say, that was behind the head, you should do something.
What happened there, Pete? I missed that.
JAIME VELASQUEZ landed a right hand. Glenn Johnson looked at the referee, Joey Lupino, as if to say it was behind the head.
Okay.
Nice right hand by Glenn Johnson. You have a feeling if he can land those more frequently and land them with enough power that he could put JAIME VELASQUEZ away.
He very well could. I just hope JAIME doesn't get in too close right now.
Through round 1, Glenn Johnson fought very carefully. Perhaps luring JAIME VELASQUEZ into a false sense of security and a false sense of comfort being back in the boxing ring. But now in round 2, Glenn Johnson is opening up a little bit more and starting to land far more regularly. That left jab was landing to the grill and body of VELASQUEZ early in round 2, and he's been setting up that overhand right rather nicely.
Like you said earlier, Pete, what beats speed and power is accuracy, and Glenn Johnson has that.
Very productive round for Glenn Johnson, and he finishes off round 2 with 2 jabs which land clean to the face of JAIME VELASQUEZ. As we take a look at JAIME VELASQUEZ's corner right now, as he has Roland Estrada in his corner.
Roland is another phenomenal trainer, one of the best trainers in Rhode Island, been around forever.
Dr. Roland Estrada, the trainer of his son, Jason Estrada, a former United States Olympian.
I put an addition on Jason Estrada's gym a couple years ago. I own a construction company. I put the addition on their building.
The Big 6 Boxing Academy.
You got any kind of liniment on? Nothing? You know me. Okay, all right. Okay.
Round 3 about to begin between Glenn Johnson and JAIME VELASQUEZ. This one's scheduled for 8 rounds here at the Twin River Event Center here inside the Twin River Casino in Lincoln, Rhode Island. Peter Zimbo and Gary Bolletto calling the action. A better round 2 than it was round 1 for Glenn Johnson, but I have him winning both rounds up until this point. Now Glenn Johnson starting to throw more combinations. Before, it was just simply a 1 and a 1-2. Now we're seeing the fists start to fly a little bit more. VELASQUEZ fighting back, however.
VELASQUEZ will not stop fighting, I will tell you that.
I give JAIME VELASQUEZ a lot of credit for not being intimidated. Some might say taking a comeback bout against the former world champion after being out of the ring for well over a decade is a cash grab. No, he's here to fight.
It's amazing what he's doing. I'll tell you, this kid's got a lot of heart and a lot of kahunas. I don't know if you know this, Pete. Jaime Velasquez owns a hairstylist salon.
I was not aware of that. He's got nice hair, so it makes sense.
And he's a good-looking guy.
Velasquez using the ring to his advantage, trying to circle out and not allow Glenn Johnson to cut the ring off too much and do a profusion of damage. Glenn Johnson, an old school boxer who uses that lead left to set up other punches. Imagine if he had Larry Holmes-like power in that left jab, because he's landing it so frequently in this fight.
Again, the accuracy, the timing, you see the experience on him. This reminds me of this fight I had with Gregorio Vargas, who was so relaxed and so wasn't big and strong at all, but you know, just was timing was on.
The accuracy level of that lead left hand from Glenn Johnson has got to be astoundingly high in this fight. Round 3 comes to an end, and Jaime Velasquez walks to his corner as Glenn Johnson takes a seat in his.
You would just like an extra room or two.
Nice deep breath.
Talking with Glenn Johnson before tonight's fight, Gary, asking him what fight day is like for him at age 45 and all the experience he has. Says relax, a lot of sleep, take some naps, watch a little TV. Glenn Johnson is a pro's pro. There's very little he has not seen inside the squared circle.
Can't scare Glenn Johnson.
Make them both count. Right hand's going to be there. Step in with them a little bit. You got to slide with your punches. Get in range, they get some leverage.
9-1,
All right?
1-1. Clean care of New England and CNC.
Glenn Johnson, who we mentioned briefly retired from boxing only to come back, has dabbled in a lot of side businesses and side projects, including concert promotion and real estate investment in his adopted home state of Florida.
Oh, I did not know that.
Matchmaker for tonight's show, Ted Panagardis, also a reggae concert promoter. Perhaps there could be some synergy between the two. They were talking reggae in the dressing room prior to tonight's fight. That's
so funny, and I know that Ted loves reggae. And he's a great matchmaker. I'm glad to see him back on the CES team.
This is Ted Panagardis' first full-made card in many years. Nice to see Ted back indeed. Round 4 of the scheduled 8-rounder, and Velasquez was up against the ropes momentarily. Right hand, courtesy of Glenn Johnson. Left hand staggers Velasquez. That certainly got Velasquez's attention. Velasquez is wobbling, doing his best to stay upright. Calm, cool, and collected is Glenn Johnson, but it looks like he's got his prey hurt, and he's going to look to put him away. Left hand, left hand. Joey Lupino, the referee, taking a good, close look at the action. Velasquez in a lot of trouble right now, fighting back only seemingly because Glenn Johnson isn't aggressive enough. But Glenn Johnson has him hurt, he knows it, and there's nothing returning from Velasquez, which has Glenn Johnson worried.
Like I said before, the toughness of Jaime Velasquez, you see how hard he punches, and like I said earlier, this guy will not stop. He won't quit. He won't quit. He's very hurt, but that's not going to stop.
That left hand is just landing so regularly. Joey Lupino's really taking a good close look at this one. The follow-up right hand lands. Velasquez staying upright is miraculous.
This kid's tough as nails.
And a one-punch knockout can be dangerous, but these sustained beatings can be particularly dangerous. And this is becoming a sustained beating. Velasquez still remaining upright, but staggering all over the ring. Joey Lupino, the referee, makes the right call in my estimation and decides to put a halt to this one. Glenn Johnson with a 4th-round TKO over Jaime Velasquez here at the Twin River Event Center. Few notes on this fight, Gary. Good performance by Glenn Johnson. he did what you thought he would do with what he was in against. For Jaime Velasquez, tough, gutsy performance, and certainly came here tonight to fight. Probably just too big of a task for him to really overcome, having not been in the ring since 1999.
It was totally not the right match for him. I know Jaime has the guts, and he would take on anybody. And I'm so glad that the referee stopped that fight, because Jaime would not quit.
It will go down as a 4th round TKO for the former light heavyweight champion of the world, Glenn the Road Warrior Johnson. And his trainer, Mark Vaz, in the corner, says that's a way to close the show. Glenn Johnson's first knockout since April of last year, when he defeated Junior Ramos in the Dominican Republic. His last knockout, really at the world-class level, came in 2010, when he knocked out Alan Green at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas as part of Showtime's Super 6 tournament.
I didn't know about that Alan Green knockout. I didn't see that. Alan Green was another great fighter. So this guy, he's beat the best in the world.
Back in the gym, for real. No, that was good, man. You good? You feel all right?
And even though Jaime Velasquez will have left tonight defeated, positive spirits in his corner, considering the performance he put on against the caliber of fighter he was in against in the former world champ Glenn Johnson. And Glenn Johnson appreciating the support of some of the Jamaica natives who made their way to Twin River Casino tonight to see him.
He's known throughout the world, so, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he had fans here tonight.
Well, both fighters are called to the center of the ring, so we'll get the official time of the stoppage from our ring announcer, Rick Provost.
At 1:59 of round number 3, referee Joey Lupino stops the bout. And your winner by TKO, Glenn the Road Warrior Johnson.